Ronda Rousey is now in AEW. AEW Revolution getting mixed reviews, but your boy Ango's giving it a thumbs up. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. Plus some more professional wrestling news, WWE, TNA, AEW. It's all coming up right here on the very new Ango Show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Now, one of the things I find most incredibly interesting about AEW last night at Revolution was actually how much more Tony Khan is taking his product seriously in the sense of production. Production was very good. I'm working on that too, actually. Maybe you guys can tell the new camera. We're going to work on the background. We're going to work on a whole bunch of things and the lighting, and eventually we'll get there. Just like it took Tony Khan a little bit of time to get there. But Tony Khan invested heavily into the production of AEW Revolution, and there was a plenty of surprises. And the one thing that was very, very big about AEW Revolution was actually the fact that Ronda Rousey showed up. I think that this is an interesting talking point because Ronda Rousey is doing business with WWE's business partners at Netflix, who is throwing an MMA event together with MVP Promotions, the promotion led by Nikisa and Jake Paul. Then, interestingly enough, we get to AEW Revolution, and Ronda Rousey's there with the Death Riders and Marina Shafir, and then she calls out Toni Storm. She doesn't get an all-elite graphic. Tony Khan doesn't post that. Tony Khan does not confirm that she signed with the company. But pretty much Ronda Rousey is in the company. Now, for Netflix, for MVP, you have to wonder, are they okay with Ronda Rousey doing AEW right before her big-time fight against Gina Carano? No, I don't think so, but I think this will be a very slow burn with Ronda Rousey, and I'm okay with that. I actually think that would be a good thing for Ronda Rousey. She can appear on TV, do some promotional stuff, you know, and then we can see her in a situation where there's pull-apart brawls, very little risk for her to get hurt. Let her do her thing with Gina Carano. Hopefully she beats Gina Carano, and then she could come to AEW, and then we'll see what happens there. Quite frankly, I think that's huge, man. I think it's a big deal that Ronda's in AEW. But if you follow me on Twitter, you know, guys, if you follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm going to say. I am not too fond of Ronda Rousey. I thought her second run in WWE was pretty damn mid. I thought Ronda Rousey is incredibly talented in the ring, but I don't think she could cut a promo or have a good character. And quite frankly, Ronda Rousey is not a big fan of professional wrestling. She's not a big fan of professional wrestling, and she is sure as hell not a big fan of its audience and its fans. So interestingly enough, when I see Ronda Rousey, the truth is, I don't care. And I thought AEW Revolution was a fantastic show. And if WWE doesn't get their shit together this year, Revolution might be the pay-per-view of the year. And it's only March 2026, but that's how good the pay-per-view was. But Ronda Rousey in AEW does not do it for me. Unfortunately, it does not. And it's not going to change. So unfortunately, it is what it is. But I have no problem with this. Now, Tony Khan did also elaborate at the press conference. There was a question regarding whether or not Ronda Rousey could potentially be in the mix for Tony Khan and AEW to be involved in the Netflix event. Tony Khan did claim that he was invited to the event. Now, I don't know if Netflix would openly promote AEW. I can't imagine WWE executives being happy with Netflix if that were the case. But I do think it is interesting, and I do think there could be some cool stuff there. But I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey in wrestling. Ronda Rousey in MMA? Yes. And I'm excited to watch her fight Gina Carano. Now, there's a lot of people who have some issues with this, largely due to the fact that Ronda Rousey, unfortunately, Ronda Rousey has been known to have some controversies in her past and making comments in her past about a variety of other controversies. Too much that I don't want to divulge into. But Sean Ross Sapp did point out, why is Trey Miguel not in AEW, but then Ronda Rousey is? And I just thought that was very, very valid. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to think about. And we'll see how Warner Bros. Discovery or Tony Khan answer to that. That was not asked. That was not something that was positioned at the media scrum. So just keep that in mind. But it is something to pay attention to. We received a huge update from TNA, a major announcement. Obviously, if you're a fan of professional wrestling and you want to see smaller companies grow, this thing is definitely going to be for you. Because today, it came out that TNA has announced a new multi-platform collaboration with iHeartMedia. And this is a big deal. iHeartMedia and TNA Wrestling announced a new multi-platform collaboration that will integrate iHeartMedia across TNA's premium live events, weekly television programming, digital platforms, and fan experiences, while tapping into iHeartMedia's expansive nationwide audio network to engage with fans across broadcasts, live events, and digital media in new and dynamic ways. As part of the agreement, iHeartMedia will serve as the presenting sponsor of the TNA Wrestling pay-per-view pre-show for all remaining 2026 premium live events. The integration will feature prominent brand visibility across broadcast graphics and arena announcements and event marketing tied to TNA's major premium live events throughout the year. iHeartMedia will also be the presenting sponsor of the TNA Wrestling Dream Seats, which will now be the premium front row seating program at TNA live events. The sponsorship will include branded seating elements, digital ticket integrations, and in-arena announcements and exclusive fan engagement opportunities throughout the year. Pretty cool. There's going to be in-venue commercial inventory and guardrail branding. They're going to be doing a whole bunch of social media collaboration, hospitality, and VIP fan experiences. This is obviously a big deal. Carlos Silva talked about this. He issued a statement. He says, "We are very excited to welcome iHeartMedia as a national partner for TNA Wrestling. Their ability to connect with audiences across radio, podcasts, and digital platforms makes them an ideal partner as we continue to expand our reach and bring the energy to TNA fans across the country." This is obviously huge for a variety of reasons. I'm super excited about this. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not even going to bullshit you guys. For the simple fact that I just love to see TNA as being aggressive and trying to get new things out there. You know what I'm saying? It's a very difficult task. iHeartRadio, iHeartMedia. I mean, it's a very, very, very big company. And that's what you need to do. If you're TNA, you need to find things like this. You need to find those opportunities and you need to make those things happen. And quite frankly, for TNA as a growing brand, it just goes to show you that they are doing some significant stuff this year. And professional wrestling is just incredibly healthy. And I just think that's huge, you know? So we'll see what happens. Obviously, who knows what this leads to. But of course, you would have to assume there's a little bit of money involved and there's a little bit of growth involved. Which is exactly what TNA should be looking for. And that's huge. And that's what I'm looking for to see with TNA. I want to see them make that effort for growth. That's going to happen in situations like this, which is why I'm super, super happy about it. All right, guys, happy 316 day. Is Stone Cold Steve Austin returning to WWE tonight on Raw? Who knows? Honestly, nobody really knows. There's a lot of rumors and a lot of belief that maybe Stone Cold could be on Raw tonight, but Stone Cold was on Busted Open Radio, and he was talked about his WrestleMania 42 status, and basically he says he'd be down to do it if they have something for him that doesn't take the spotlight away from the active roster. He broke it down on Busted Open Radio today, which I appreciate. But I think this is just a very fun conversation. Should Stone Cold Steve Austin return to WWE? And I have this huge thing about legends being on TV. Like, if you're taking away from the active talent that aren't even getting an opportunity to be on the show, I'm not a big fan of that. I have spoken about that several times. However, with that being said, I do think it is important to at least acknowledge, at the very least, that it would be very cool for Stone Cold to be in the mix somewhat. He also alluded to kind of shitting the bed with the whole four-wheeler situation. We all saw that when he was announcing the attendance. That was a moment for sure. And if Stone Cold were to do something like that in Vegas for WrestleMania 42, I have no problem with that. I guess my problem really stems from whether or not Stone Cold would be doing something other than that would take up TV time from somebody who needs to get on the card. And that's where I think there seems to be a little bit of an issue with WWE in modern day. Like, right now, it is very clear that they are relying on Roman Reigns and Randy Orton to carry everybody into WrestleMania. I think they're going to rely heavily on celebrity involvement and legends at WrestleMania. But where is that focus? That's what I am questioning. And listen, man, you go on Twitter and you go on this thing and you see what people are saying. Yeah, man. People want to see something new. They want to see some fresh, exciting ideas. And it just kind of seems like maybe WWE hasn't necessarily figured that out. And that's kind of, controversial, but I mean, it kind of makes sense. So I understand where everybody's feeling and what they're feeling. It is Austin 316 day. Could we see Stone Cold on Raw and maybe set up something? I don't know. What I would love is for Stone Cold to be like a special guest referee. Like, that's what I would like to see with Legends, is like bring them in, have them do a special guest referee, add to the feuds. But I don't know if there's a feud that really needs that right now either. So it is just something to think about. It is something to consider. Well, obviously, what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.